everybody, this is Ananya and today we will be learning two very simple but very important topics in Numpy, that is insert and delete. Now trust me, they're very simple but you just need to get the hang of it so that later on ahead you do not have any issues when you're working with projects. Again, insert and delete are very similar to the concept of lists. Okay, we did a lot of inserting and deleting there, so you won't have a problem. Firstly, we of course need to go ahead and import Numpy, and let's go ahead and have a look at the syntax of insert. So your first parameter, that is numpy.insert, will have the array, of course, the original array. Next, you have an object. Now, what is object? It is the index before which the insertion of values need to be made. Now, please make sure of the word before and not after. Next, we have values. Of course, if you have multiple values to insert, simply put them inside arrays. Okay, and that's it. Your job is done. And lastly, you have an optional parameter, that is the axis. We all know what is axis now, right? You have either 0, axis 0 or 1. And if you do not mention the axis, the array will be flattened. Now, what is flattened? Converting the array into 1D. Okay, now we have already done flatten in one of our previous tutorials, so I'm sure you know about it. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this 2D array as our first example for insertion. And I'm going to go ahead and run this and show you how the original array looks like. So there you go, you have 3 rows and 2 columns. Let us go ahead and see our first insertion function. So as you can see, we have the original array A. Next, we have the index 3. So just before index 3, we want the values 7 and 8 to be inserted. Again, let's go ahead and run it. So visual representations will help you understand. Now make note, we have not provided the axis here. Hence, our 2D array gets flattened and you have 7 and 8 inserted at index 3. Okay, just before index 3. That is basically number 4. Might seem confusing, but just hold on. You have 0 at index, 1, 2, and this is your third index, and there you go, you have 7 and 8 just before that. Pretty simple. Let's go ahead. Remember, it was flattened because axis was not given, and now let us put in axis is equal to 0. So we have the original array, and before the 0th position, I want to put in -1 and 0 values. And this should be row wise, okay? And let's go ahead and run that. Okay, here you go. You have at the 0th position -1 and 0. Now, did you notice something? The original array remains intact. There's no change. Okay, so it is just like real-time modification of your array according to your preferences. But the original array that you created will have no change on it. It will just print for you whatever you want to create. Lastly, we tried out row-wise. Now, we must not leave out our column-wise modification also. So this time, before index 1, right, I want to add the values 7, 8, 9. So what do you think will be the change in the original array? Give it a thought. Until then, I'll run it and see if your answer is correct. Well, I'm sure you thought that this was going to be the output, and congratulations, we have learned about insertion. So you have the column, a new column, consisting of the numbers 7, 8, 9 before index 1, column index 1. All right, let's go ahead. Now let us come to Numpy deletion. Okay, again, it's a very, very simple topic, but 2D arrays, deleting in 2D arrays will take just a little bit of concentration to understand. Okay, let's start off with simple examples, that is 1D array. But before that, let me show you the syntax of it. So firstly, we have our array, that is our original array. Next, again, just like insertion, we have an object, but in this case, the object is basically the sub-array or the elements that you want to delete. And if there are multiple values that you want to delete, you simply put them inside. You guessed it right, you put them in an array. And lastly, you have an optional parameter axis. We already know this. And again, one important point, just like in insert, the original array will not be affected at all. Alright, so now let's see how can we work this out. I've taken a simple 1D array that consists of 10 values 0 to 9, and I'm going to go ahead and print that for you all. Okay, just a moment. There you go, 0 to 9. And now I'm going to say np.delete the original array object. What is object? The value 5. Okay, please make sure in delete it is value and not index. Okay, now let's go ahead and print this. Deleting number 5 from the original array, you see you do not have the number 5 anymore. And now what I'm going to do is, just for proof, I'm going to go ahead and run the print statement of the original array, which shows you still have the number 5 intact. It's not gone anywhere. Now let us try with some multiple values. The values that we want to delete are 1 and 2 from the original array. And let's see what we get. There you have the numbers 1 and 2 vanished from the original array, right? Now this was very simple. Let's have a look at 2D arrays now. This is my 2D array, and I'm going to go ahead and show how it basically looks like. You have 4 rows and 3 columns out here. Now what I want to do is, I'm going to say np.delete the original array 1 and then 0. Now before explaining what all this actually means, I'm going to go ahead and show you all the output of it. So it'll be way better for you all to understand. Now let's see what is missing. So 0, 1, 2 is present, and now you see 3, 4, 5 is not there. So what it did was, since you have mentioned access 0, right? This was our third optional parameter, access. So it'll delete row-wise, and it'll delete the first row, not the 0th row, but the first row. Pretty simple, right? And there you have first row being deleted for you. Next, you can guess it already. I'm going to delete the first column, and access is being mentioned as 1. Pretty simple. And this is our last example for the day. There you go. You have successfully deleted 1, 4, 7, 10 from your original array. And these are the shapes, just in case you need them. Alright, this was all for today. It was a very simple topic, and I tried to explain it as quick as possible. I'll come back with some other video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Bye-bye. See you soon.